From the Albuquerque Journal, this is the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. It's Friday, October 17th. Here's what we're covering on today's episode. After months of waiting, the first Republican has officially announced his campaign for New Mexico governor. With more on this announcement, I'm now joined by the Journal's Capitol Bureau Chief Dan Boyd, who's been following this story. Dan, thank you as always for joining me.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
So Dan, as we mentioned at the top, we now have the first Republican that has officially announced their candidacy for New Mexico governor, and it's a unique one because it's an announcement that's been several months in the making. What can you share with us about it?
Yeah, so this involves Rio Rancho Mayor Greg Hull. Greg Hull, we've known since April that he's been thinking about running for governor. He actually confirmed in April that he was planning to run. He had filed a campaign finance report. He had then planned to do kind of a public launch in June to kind of mark the start of his campaign, but then he ultimately postponed that event. And for the last few months, we've been a little unsure, whether that means that he's had second thoughts about running for governor, might be looking at running for a different elected office. This week, there were new campaign finance reports were due. Greg Hull released a new video kind of formally launching the campaign. He said he's officially in at this point, and I did get a chance to talk with him this week a little bit more about his decision making and kind of the reasoning behind, delaying that official launch.
And Dan, I'm curious, did Hull give any reasons for why he waited several months before he did officially launch his campaign?
He did. I asked him the reason for that, and he said he had spent a lot of the last few months kind of traveling around the state and kind of taking the temperature a little bit of meeting with residents from different communities and kind of getting their thoughts and I think feedback. And he was frank. He also said, he was kind of watching the political landscape, I think watching to see whether other Republicans might jump into the race. And I think that's some important context here that no other Republicans have come forward and joined the race. There have been a few candidates who've acknowledged interest or been mentioned as possible candidates, but he said that he didn't feel the need to jump in too early while he was kind of getting to know voters and getting their feedback, and he felt like now the time was right, and he felt that he did have the support to move forward with the campaign.
And so far we've seen in this campaign, Dan, there's been a lot of focus on issues that are facing the state like education and public safety. In your story, Hull kind of laid out what his campaign is going to focus on. What issues are those?
Yeah, he really emphasized that he's going to tout his record as a mayor, as a leader on the municipal level, that he's been the mayor of Rio Rancho since 2014, and that he's really kind of taken a problem-solving approach to issues, ranging from public safety, infrastructure, healthcare, things like that. And he said he would continue to take that same approach, running for statewide office. I think his challenge will be kind of name recognition for folks who don't live in Rio Rancho or Albuquerque and might not be as familiar with who he is and his record, kind of introducing himself to them. And then obviously you mentioned on the Democratic side, there are already several candidates who have been, very active as far as campaign fundraising and already touring the state. So clearly he's going to have a challenge moving ahead, but I think he sees, himself as kind of a problem solver and hoping that kind of message will resonate on a larger stage.
And Dan, Hull is really going to be facing a lot of challenges in this campaign. One of those is the fact that he's lagging behind his Democratic competitors, especially Deb Haaland and Sam Bregman when it comes to time on the campaign trail and also fundraising efforts as well. And also another thing he's going to have to look at is the track record of Republicans in statewide races here in the state. It's not really been that good as of late.
Yeah, I asked him about that. Susana Martinez was the last Republican to serve as governor, obviously, but her re-election campaign was 2014. So it's been a while since a Republican was elected governor in New Mexico. And he was honest about that. But he said, he's not going to kind of take a real partisan approach to the campaign. He's hoping that voters kind of focus more on the issues and where candidates stand on those issues instead of party labels. But he also acknowledged that, some voters do focus on the D or the R beside a candidate's name. And certainly running against candidates like you mentioned, Deb Haaland and Sam Bregman, who both reported this week have raising, $4 million in Deb Haaland's case over the last 6 months and like $2.5 million for Sam Bregman. So whatever Republican emerges from the primary next year is going to face a pretty steep, fundraising disadvantage, at least for now, when it comes to the general election.
And Dan, last question before I let you go. Hull's going to have to make a unique decision next year on the campaign trail, and it's in regards to the job he currently holds now. His term runs through March of 2026. Did he tell you if he's decided if he's going to run for re-election or not?
Yeah, it's interesting timing. Rio Rancho is one of the municipalities in New Mexico that has not opted into these local election act that kind of consolidates all local elections in November of odd numbered years like this year. So his term as mayor runs through March of next year. He's still mayor and said he's plans to continue serving out the remainder of the term. He said he hasn't really made a decision as to whether he might seek another term in March. I mean, there's nothing prohibiting him from serving as mayor and still running for governor. That said, if he were to be successful running for governor, he would obviously have to step down as mayor. But at least for now, he said he's still kind of leaving his options open when it comes to that, but certainly planning to focus on his campaign for governor as well.
So it took a couple more months than we initially thought, but Greg Hall officially announcing his campaign for New Mexico governor and is the first Republican to enter the race. Albuquerque Journal Capitol Bureau Chief Dan Boyd stopping by to share the latest with us. Thank you so much, Dan.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
In other headlines from the newsroom, Albuquerque Public Schools has agreed to pay more than $3 million to settle a lawsuit stemming from a 2022 sword-fighting incident at Volcano Vista High School that left a student seriously injured. The case drew national attention after chemistry teacher Lavetta Mitchell allegedly had students fighting with swords during class. The district will pay $2.5 million directly to the student's family and another $1 million to Pacific Life and Annuity Services, according to settlement records obtained by the Journal. The injured student, identified in the settlement as Navia Salas, was a 16-year-old sophomore at the time. The lawsuit, filed by her grandparents Arnold and Judy Gotchapin, claimed Mitchell and APS violated the student's constitutional rights and mishandled emergency response efforts. Mitchell, who was fired in July of 2022, is now barred from holding a permanent teaching position under the agreement. APS spokesperson Martine Salazar said the district is, quote, dismayed by this incident, but, quote, grateful to have resolved the case. Salazar also noted that APS worked with its insurance carrier to cover the settlement. Albuquerque is gearing up for the 100th anniversary of Route 66 with an ambitious public art project called Route 66 Remixed. The celebration, announced Thursday, will feature 18 installations across the city's 18-mile stretch of the Mother Road, the longest urban segment in the nation. The artworks will include murals, signs, augmented reality experiences, and redesigned city buses, each paired with narrative poetry from former Albuquerque Poet Laureate Hakeem Bellamy. Local artists will also help design custom bus wraps. Mayor Tim Keller said the effort reflects the city's resilience and contrasts its beauty, grit, and ongoing struggles with crime and poverty along Central Avenue. One mural, Buffalo Return to Route 66, symbolizes strength and renewal. The centennial is also seen as a tourism opportunity, with state officials calling it, quote, a once-in-a-lifetime chance to draw both domestic and international travelers. The project also involves 19 local artists and partners, including Meow Wolf, UNM, Blake's Lotaburger, and the New Mexico Tourism Department. Most installations will be completed by December 1st, with a full tour launching by January. Visitors can explore the art and listen to its stories at route66remix.com/tour. The Albuquerque Police Officers Association has endorsed Mayor Tim Keller for a third term, marking a renewed show of support in a race where crime and public safety have dominated the debate. The association's president, Sean Willoughby, said Keller earned the endorsement for understanding the city's challenges and improving conditions for officers. Keller faces a crowded field that includes former Sheriff Darren White, former U.S. Attorney Alex Ubalez, City Councilor Luis Sanchez, former firefighter Eddie Valea, and Mei-Ling Jaramillo. The union backed Keller in 2017 but withheld support in 2021 amid low morale tied to federal DOJ oversight of the Albuquerque Police Department for excessive force. That settlement agreement ended in May after APD reached full compliance. Willoughby said this election is crucial to shaping APD's, quote, post-settlement path, and credited Keller for raising pay, rebuilding morale, and recruiting new officers. Keller's campaign also cited a 26% drop in violent crime and a 33% decline in poverty crime since 2018, touting modernized policing and competitive wages as key achievements. And the pharmacy, a beloved Nob Hill brunch spot, has permanently closed, its owners announced on Wednesday on social media. Located at 3718 Central Southeast, the restaurant was known for its scratch-made brunch fare and community atmosphere. Owners Chef Jacob Elliott and Mary Hammock thanked patrons for their support through, quote, good times and bad, referencing challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic, break-ins, and burst water mains. The closure came as a surprise to many regulars, including locals who stopped by Thursday, only to find the note on the door. Originally opened in 2016 in the Sawmill District, the pharmacy moved to Nob Hill in 2018, where it became a neighborhood favorite. In their farewell message, the owners expressed gratitude for nearly a decade of community connection, writing, quote, we have enjoyed being a part of the community. You will be sorely sorely missed. The Leading News is powered by the journalism of the Albuquerque Journal. If you enjoy hearing all of the stories we share with you here daily, please consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Journal by utilizing the discount code in our show notes. Every subscription helps support local journalism and allows us to provide you with the news that matters to you. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast, sunny skies are expected today with a high near 71, and as for this evening, mostly clear with a low around 40. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. That's the Leading News. I'm Gino Gutierrez. We'll be back tomorrow.